Hi, and we are going to talk about potty training today using what I've been calling my gait analogy. Potty training happens in all animals. Every mammal goes through potty training. This is not a human thing, it is actually the process of learning where and when to eliminate. And humans add in a different layer. They add in additional layers, such as alerting and waiting for access, among other things. So, potty training puppies. We potty train both puppies and adult dogs, but potty training puppies starts really young in their life. We start about 8 to 16 weeks of age whenever we get a puppy and whenever it comes home with us. But the mother dog actually starts this process a whole lot earlier in their life. And she starts this process when she stops stimulating to eliminate. It is not a quick process. Some puppies will train rather early, while others may take many, many months. So, on average, it takes between 6 months and a year to potty train. We do run into some very common potty training problems. The ones that I hear the most are my dog just won't potty train. And this comes down to we are creating a routine for elimination, including our timing, location, praise, rewards to fit our lifestyle. But we refuse to take the dog's or puppy's lifestyle into account whenever we're creating these routines. That in itself creates problems. The timing of the praise and rewards don't line up with the action, so they're off. We are not praising the puppy for the correct action. So, in turn, we confuse the puppy as to what it's doing, what it's not doing right, and the puppy doesn't really know what it's doing. We expect way too much, way too soon out of the puppies. Biologically, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff is still developing within the brain and the muscles. And we just expect everything to happen within a very short time frame, and that's just not how it works. One of the other things that I see causing problems is punishing the puppy after the action occurred. And sometimes this after the action might be minutes to an hour or so, or even later, whenever we find it. So that punishing creates confusion on what is being punished. In turn, if this is done enough, it actually creates behavioral problems around potty training, and we see some regression happening. Not just puppies need potty trained. Sometimes adults need potty trained as well. So we see adult dogs need potty trained whenever they change environmental factors. So environmental conditions. So an outside dog now has to come and live in a house. You move. Dogs get rehomed because of different reasons, and they're now living indoors. The same methods that we use for puppies applies to adult dogs. And we also see the same issues with potty training adult dogs that we see for puppies. And it comes down to the exact same thing, is we're not trying to train the dog in front of us. We're trying to train an ideal dog that does not exist. Depending on the dog, it can be easy or difficult to potty train an adult dog. And this depends on a lot of factors. This depends on their individuality. It depends on their breed. It depends on any health conditions that they might have, including UTIs or other health conditions, and then their baggage. And the baggage is anything that might have happened to them in their life prior to this point. It could have been something intentional or non-intentional, but it still has a place in their brain telling them what to do or what not to do. So this is my gait analogy, very simple diagram. And I think I have to move myself out of the way for this. Okay, so my very, very simple diagram here kind of shows the process of having to pee. Pooping has the same elimination, except for over here we have our kidneys and bladder, and for pooping it is more digestive tract and rectum, but the processes are extremely similar. So let's go through this diagram and I'll kind of explain what exactly is going on, when it's going on, and hopefully this helps clear up some confusion that we have. So first we need our water intake, and our water intake is just drinking water, getting water into our system, right? It goes down into our stomach, where our blood cells take it up and take it to different parts of our bodies that need it, right? Our blood cells also move around any excess water. They also move around cellular waste. At some point in their journey, they take everything to the kidneys, and the kidneys filter out the excess water. They filter out the cellular waste, and then they store this waste and the water into the bladder. When the bladder is full, it sends a signal to the brain. Okay, and that signal is that you have to pee. So it sends this signal to the brain that it is full, and the brain then responds and sends messages back to the bladder to empty itself. Okay. You can see how my arrows on this diagram are very solid right now, and that's because this process happens no matter what. If it didn't, the puppy would not live. You have to get rid of the waste and excess water in your body in order to survive. So ideally, when they're little, when they're born and just afterwards, that process, you might have to be stimulated, but there are no gates in the way. It simply says, my bladder is full, I need to urinate. And it goes straight through, which is great for puppies, but not so great for adult dogs. So what I've done, is we'll take a look at this a little bit closer. So the puppy has to, in this little moving puppy, I have to pee. And it's in the brain now, where there's a bunch of different things going on. Again, I'm going to stress that this diagram is very, very simplified. And one of those pathways could be just to pee. But as the dog learns things, we have this dotted line. And this dotted line is a conscious part of learning, right? The dotted line is consciously allowing stuff to happen. So it's a conscious decision. And the line, let me move myself here a little bit. The line, this purple dotted line, will not become solid until that gate is able to close. And we'll talk a little bit about this gate in the next slide. But until that gate is able to close, and that happens between 6 months and a year of age. So until then, that gate is open. The dog does not consciously know that it's going to pee. It knows it's going to pee, but it's not consciously holding it back. It can't. And like I said, this is very simplified. There are muscles going on in here, stuff that I'm leaving out for simplicity. So when we're talking about this gate, we're talking about this pathway where the brain is sending signals. It has a signal that says my bladder is full, it needs to be eliminated. But now it's going into, and there's this whole complex web of neurons firing and information being passed, telling different muscles to do different things. But in there is a conscious decision because the dog has already learned. It's learning when and how to alert you. It's learning how to hold it, of course, with muscle memory as well, how to hold it, and how to eliminate in the spot that you would like it to. And so as this conscious decision is being made, that gate that I talked about is either opening or closing, right? If it's open, it's a free pass. Your body just pees. Once these lines, these arrows become solidified, that means that your dog has learned, or the pathway is set, where that dog can now hold it and make the conscious decision to pee when it needs to. So that gate is now closed. And then whenever it decides it needs to pee, it allows that gate to open up, pee, and then close again, right? And then it tells its body it's done. This sends messages back to the muscles of the bladder in order to do that action, right? For the bladder muscles to contract, to allow you to pee, the sphincter muscles that are associated with that to open up and let it pee, let the pee exit your body. And that gate then closes. As the dog ages, though, this gate might be open just a little tiny bit. So, or health reasons might make that gate open just a little bit. So you'll get some peeing in there because the dog is telling itself that it needs to hold it, but it can't physically get that message apart or to the muscles itself. So there is that developmental delay in there. And again, this is extremely simplified. I'm leaving out so much, but there is this gateway in the brain that says, okay, I've learned now. I'm able to shut that gate. I am able to shut that gate to keep from peeing and then pee whenever I say to. So then I can take that signal, delay it to actually pee so I could get to my spot. I could do what I need to do to pee. That is potty training as we see it as humans. It's having that dog pee when we need them to pee, right? Consciously making that decision to pee or poop or eliminate whenever we ask them to or need them to. And it's not to do it just whenever they have to, right? As they age, of course, that goes back and gets a little bit wishy-washy. But so the steps really quickly to learn how to potty train. And again, let me move myself over here. So to potty train, every trainer has different methods to potty train. Sorry about that. Every method has different, or every trainer has different methods to potty train. We're not here talking about methods. We're just talking about our basics. But one thing that we all agree on is you need to ask certain questions about your lifestyle and how you want to train. So do you want to have puppy pads or an indoor potty station? Do you need to because of either the health issues of the dog at hand or your own health issues or your own behavioral issues that you are working through? Or do you have access to a doggy door, or can you be able to take that dog right outside every single time? These are just questions you need to ask so that you can go forward on the actual method to teach how to potty train. You need to decide ahead of time where you would like the dog to eliminate. If you want to eliminate in a yard or on the grass, in a gravel area or, path, wood chipped area, something like that. Do you want them or do you need them to eliminate on walks? Do you live in an apartment? Do you need them to eliminate when you're walking on a leash? Some dogs have problems eliminating on a leash, but they're fine eliminating off leash, or vice versa. And do you need them to try to eliminate away from the walking path, or do you want them to eliminate right close to the walking path so it's easier for you to clean up? These are kind of things that you need to decide because they have to be put in place when you're starting to train, when you're creating that routine. It makes it so much easier than trying to create a routine and change it a little bit later. So some of our general rules for potty training is, and this goes individuality, but roughly 15 minutes or so after eating and drinking, they need to go out to go potty when they're young, when you bring them home. And this is just across the board. Some puppies are a lot, some puppies might take a little less time before their body is fully ready to start eliminating. Some puppies actually can go a little bit longer, but on average, 15 to 20 minutes. You never, ever want to withhold water from them. If you think that you might need to limit water, reach out to a trainer. We can help you with figuring out a way to do this without withholding water. You want to use cue words right away to indicate going to eliminate. So potty is our common one. The whole household has to use the same word. And we normally just go to the door and say, let's go outside and go potty. Potty is the cue word. That's what gets them saying, oh, okay, we're going out to eliminate, right? So you're creating that routine right away. If you add bells or anything to your routine, then that's when you also ring them and use your cue word so the dog knows. Dogs pick up on this stuff very quickly, especially when their puppy's learning this. You want to praise right after the elimination is complete and not during. The reason behind this is that we want them to eliminate fully. If you praise too early, what happens is they stop the elimination process because they get super excited and their muscles just contract and they stop. So what happens is they get super excited, you're praising them, and then you go into the house and 2 minutes later they pee on the floor because their body wasn't done yet and it needs to finish eliminating. So the timing of the praise needs to be as soon as the elimination is complete and not during. Again, if you have problems with the timing, if you think that that is one of your problems, reach out to a local trainer, and this is something that almost all local trainers can help with. You do not want to rush the puppy. Sometimes it takes some time to make the body work right, to get that signal from the routine to the bladder to the brain and then back to the bladder again. So some dogs that can happen very quickly, some dogs that's not. So you don't want to rush your puppy. Okay, so sometimes it just takes time for that to work. The better your routine is, the better the puppy is potty trained, the quicker this will happen. But sometimes, especially at first, it's just not going to happen fast. Listen to your dog's body language. So when they decide what they want to tell you when they have to go out, praise them for it. If you're teaching them to ring bells at the door or push a button, praise them as soon as they do it, acknowledge them, and go for the routine right then and there. Do not make them wait. This is how they learn that, yes, that is a good method of telling you that they have to go, and you're not going to make them wait to go. Remember that each dog is different. Each dog has different body cues. They have different ways of doing it. And you need to train for the dog that you have in front of you and not the dog you've had in the past. We fall into this trap. Everybody does. You have the one dog who was so easy to do all this stuff for, either train or potty train or do whatever. And then we hold all of our other dogs to that standard, and we have to stop doing that. Each dog is an individual. When we take our puppies out to go to the bathroom, no matter how young they are, you want to let them sniff. Now, of course, this is within reason as far as vaccinations and health and all that stuff. But you need to let them sniff. Sniffing does a lot in the brain. It gets the brain moving. It gets the functioning happening very well in the brain. But it's not just sniffing for that perfect spot. It's a necessity for dogs. Not only is their peeing in a spot eliminating and getting rid of the extra fluid and the body waste, the cellular waste, it is also containing hormones and pheromones and all this other information through scent that they are leaving for somebody else to find on purpose. So if they always want to pee in a certain spot, up against a fence or in a certain area, it's because they know that their signals will be obtained by other individuals. Pooping is done with alignment to the magnetic poles. We do not fully understand why this is happening, but this is something that enough scientists and common people have noticed, that we understand that they are aligning themselves in certain directions to poop. This is why they circle around numerous times. But we don't really understand the actual why they are doing this. But that's okay. Let your dog do it. You want to praise, like I said, when the action is complete, not during it. You don't want to stop them from doing this. It's an inherent behavior that they need to do in order to fully eliminate and know that they did the right thing. I don't really know how else to put that. It's just one of those funny things that happen. Routine is very key to making it work. We want to create a routine that works for you and your family, including the dog's needs. You always want to make sure the dog's needs are in there. And this could be if your dog needs to eliminate more, if your dog pees very frequently, then maybe they need to go out more frequently. So that has to be built into whatever routine that you have. Whatever routine that you are sticking to, stick to it like glue while that pup is learning, right? Throughout life happens. Deviations will happen in life. And we want to make sure that that foundation is solid, so that reduces our accidents later on in life. And it helps that dog actually deal with these deviations better. One of my examples that I use is if your dog is home every day and you come home, like, I don't know, between 4 and 4:15, the dog will learn that, and they will learn that that's when they get to go outside and go to the potty. And so their brain will tell them with that internal clock, hey, it's getting close. Now we have to pee. That is fine. If that's your routine, you come in the door, you say, let's go potty, you let them out right away, or you go and put your stuff down, grab a leash, go grab them, take them out, right? That's the routine, and that is great. But if you get stuck behind an accident on the way home, and let's say you don't get home till 5:30, your dog needs to be able to deal with that change in time and change in routine. The more you stick to that routine when they're younger, the easier it'll be for them to accept those deviations a little bit later. So maybe they'll be like, oh, maybe I was wrong. Maybe I do have to hold it a little bit longer instead of just going and peeing, right? And then, of course, you don't ever want to yell at them and make them get in trouble if there's deviations in your normal routine, because you have to go when you have to go. And that's my next thing or my last thing is, you don't ever want to make them wait, right? When you have to go to the bathroom, you want to be able to go to the bathroom. And it kind of makes everybody a little bit mad when you go to the bathroom and it's either out of order or somebody's in the bathroom, something like that. We get a little bit upset about it because that makes us have to hold it longer. Why do we want to make our dogs wait the same way on a regular basis? We need to let them eliminate often as they need to, when they need to, and not make them wait unnecessarily long periods of time in order to eliminate. That waiting will cause both behavioral and health issues down the line. But with that being said, the key to potty training really is to be patient, and it will happen. I do have to say, I think this photo is funny. It's an AI generated photo, and I asked for a dog peeing up against a tree in a yard filled with dog toys. And AI did give me what I asked for, but the dog is funny just peeing up against a tree like this. And the really funny part is that I know dogs who will back their butt up against the tree and pee exactly as this dog is doing. So yes, be patient. It'll happen. You always want to rule out medical issues. You always want to rule out UTIs. If your dog is doing great potty training, your puppy is doing great potty training, and then all of a sudden there's 2 steps backwards, that is time to go and talk to your vet and see about maybe getting tested for a UTI. UTIs happen in both male and female dogs, especially because male dogs squat for a good part of their life, and some male dogs will never lift their leg, and vice versa. Some females will lift their leg in order to pee as well, even though it's not, we don't think as being normal. So yeah, if there's ever any question, reach out to your vet first. Make sure that you check for UTIs or any other issues that might be going on. For older dogs, there's other stuff going on. So if you are having an older dog that you're potty training and it's not working right, then yes, reach out. Reach out to any local trainer. Most local trainers will help with potty training, or they know a trainer in the area that will work with potty training and will help you. So with that, I hope this video has answered some questions. I hope my puppy chewing the bottle in the background was not too loud. And we do help with potty training here at Moondog. I have a potty training worksheet, if that helps to keep that routine down. And we have some other potty training materials available on our website at moon-dog.org. With that, I hope this has helped, and thank you very much.